Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are. Welcome to the Vegan World 2026 Moonshot podcast. Believe it or not, this is episode 41. And today, and of course, all the episodes have been focused on one thing only: how to get to a vegan world by 2026. And today we are joined by Reverend Carol Saunders and Lisa Levinson. And they are organizing a vegan spiritual forum and retreat in Unity Village in Kansas City, Missouri. So let me introduce them to you. Here they are. Welcome to the show, Lisa
Hello,
and Carol.
everyone. It's
How
good
are
to be
you?
here.
Yes, thank you. It's wonderful.
So
Thank
tell
you for
us
having us.
about the Vegan Spiritual Forum and Retreat. How did that come about? And how long have you been organizing it? Let's start with you, Reverend Carol.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll start. So I think we've been organizing for close to 3 years. We intended to have it last year, of course, which so many plans were changed from last year. But my story is that the vegan retreat was born from an idea in a car when I was having a conversation with Victoria Moran. She had been a guest at my spiritual center, and I was taking her to her dinner that night. I didn't even know Victoria. We were just, strangers at the time. But of course, anybody who knows Victoria knows you're not strangers for long. So we connected pretty quickly. And she just kind of mentioned casually in conversation, oh, wouldn't it be great to have a vegan event at Unity Village? And that's because Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founders of Unity, they were ethical vegetarians in the 1900s, early 1900s. And it wasn't just for food. It was really a spiritual philosophy, and they taught it, they lived it, and they taught it. And then Unity's kind of gotten away from that. So she mentioned that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a God idea. And then I called Judy and Lisa, who are friends, and said, do you want to collaborate on this? Do you want to do this? And of course, they were in right away too. And we planned it for September of last year and had to reschedule it. And here we are, going to have a live event October 1st through 3rd at Unity Village this year.
Okay. So Lisa, how did you get involved in this, and what is the basis of your getting involved in it?
Oh, sure. Well, thank you. Yes, of course. I mean, I copied that on Carol's version of the story as well. For me, so I've been doing vegan spirituality retreats for a few years because I started this organization or project several years ago. So it was probably 2009 or so when we had our first retreat, and it was in Philadelphia. And then we decided from there, we had retreats every year. It was an annual vegan spirituality retreat, and we had them in different locations. So we had one in Los Angeles, we had one in Florida, we've had them in different locations. And so when Carol presented this idea to have one in Missouri at Unity Village, Judy and I, Judy's very involved in our vegan spirituality online gathering, we thought, wow, what a great idea. Meanwhile, we had started co-founded the Interfaith Vegan Coalition, and we were putting together a lot of tools and vegan advocacy kits. And we thought this would be the perfect forum to focus on faith-based vegan advocacy. And when Carol mentioned her intention to kind of revive veganism within the Unity tradition, we thought, oh, this is wonderful. Why don't we bring together all of the various traditions and do an interfaith retreat there at Unity Village? And Carol loved the idea, and that's really where it all began, as they say.
Right. So so I didn't fully appreciate the importance of doing it at Unity until you just mentioned it. That Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were the original vegans, so to speak, right? So at least in the West.
They really were powerful advocates. And I don't know that they were vegan. They were definitely vegetarian. We do know that. We do know that they published Bibles in a leather alternative. We do know that they started the first vegetarian restaurant in Kansas City ever. We do know that Charles Fillmore spoke on this subject and connected our relationship to animals to our ability to achieve world peace, our ability to spiritually develop, live ethically, and be universal love. And he was outspoken about it. And people in the early Unity movement were vegetarian. So it's the energy is there. I feel the spirit of Charles and Myrtle kind of whispering in our ears, and they're like, angels in our lives. And I think they're going to make this really happen. And I think it's just such a great opportunity to resurrect, revive those teachings on the grounds there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand in the 1900s, Gandhi also tried to go vegan several times and he failed, so to speak. Because after 2 years he fell ill and the doctor told him, "Oh, eat some dairy and it'll be fine." And he did. And so they had this idea that you had to consume some animal products in order to be healthy.
Yeah, I can't tell from the Fillmores, I can't tell from the history if it was that or if they just didn't quite make the connection, I mean, because I know I was vegetarian for decades before I went vegan, because even I didn't make the connection for a long time that, the cows are harmed in the dairy process. They had their own farm there. They had their own cows, so they probably didn't think about,
I see.
the exploitation or using or anything like that. But they were very, very adamant about meat eating. And even Charles Fillmore, he made one of his famous talks and one of his famous writings was called As to Meat Eating. And the whole thing was just about meat eating, how damaging as it was to our soul and body.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I am hypothesizing that happened then because we didn't know about vitamin B12. It was only discovered in the 1940s, and it was only made available in synthetic form in the 1970s, 60s and 70s. So, in fact, there was a Nobel Prize awarded to the person who discovered how to create it in a lab in the 60s.
Interesting.
I forget her name, but it's a woman scientist who did that. And so we have progressed, So now I think we can realize Charles and Myrtle's vision of a vegan world.
I do. I think so. Yeah.
So, Lisa, who are the interfaith proponents who will be there during the retreat?
So actually our speakers, we have the 4 main speakers, and we're very excited about them. We've got Dr. Will Tuttle, and we've got Dr. Milton Mills, and Victoria Moran, and also Dr. Lisa Kemmerer. And Lisa wrote a book on world animals and world religions, and she also curated an exhibit for the Animal Museum a few years back, and we will have that exhibit on display, which echoes a lot of the principles in her book. So each panel for the exhibit is about a different religion, and it goes into depth about the connections between veganism, activism, and the religion itself. So that will be featured at the event. And as far as Interfaith, we also have several workshops, and the workshops that we're hosting there will be led by different leaders in their traditions. And so we'll have Sarah Eifler from Jewish Veg, and we'll have a few different selections of workshops. We're finalizing them as we speak. And
It's still 2 months out, right?
Oh, yes. We knew we were going to have some workshops, but we have so many to choose from that we're actually having to pick. However, we know that we have Charlotte Cressy will be leading us through a labyrinth walk. She does a lot of work on this and is really excited to present it in a workshop form.
Wonderful. So what will happen during the retreat? I mean, people register for the retreat. Is that how it works to start?
Yeah, there's a website. It's on my spiritual ministry website. It's called thespiritualforum.org/vegan retreat. And I'm sure you could have that as on the link somewhere here. And you can register there and learn more about it. The schedule is laid out in pretty much detail, but still a little loose. We're like Lisa said, we're gonna finalize the workshops really soon. We're looking at how many people do we have, and can we get an extra room and things like that. But I look at this as a kind of an experiential and collaborative event. It is our hope that people aren't just sitting in chairs and listening to speakers, that there is that, but that the workshops are interactive and there's an overall theme that we are there together to co-create a world that works for all. And what does that look like? And we don't really want people to be silos sitting in their seats, but to be in interaction. And hopefully at the end of the event that we create some sort of action plan for each of our lives individually, and maybe people that we've connected with, that people can learn through this event how to be more effective at communicating the message within their spiritual communities. And just being an advocate in their own right. I think it's very, very hard for most people to speak this in their spiritual community, no matter what the faith tradition is, unless maybe they're James. But the rest of us, people are all about love and peace and harmony, but this is such a huge blind spot. And when you bring it up, there's just a lot of defenses. So one of the things we're hoping through the workshops and through the inspiring speakers is that we come away with some tools and some fortitude to how to be effective ambassadors for the animals within our faith community.
Right. I mean, it is one of the most untapped potential, I think, is the potential of the religious community to come on the side of the animals, because I mean it is fundamental to every religion, right?
Completely. It is it's so strange. I know we're all speaking to each other, we all get it, but it's so strange to all of us. It's like, why is this such a disconnect? And the human mind is unusual in that way. We do have ways of being open to certain things and not even seeing other things. So just being open to more light, more learning, it takes a certain kind of spirit, certain kind of consciousness. But I really think that we're the light workers in that way. And so many people get defeated and shut down, and they don't even want to talk about it, or they don't go to the potlucks. They don't speak at all.
Right.
And it's understandable, because I'm a minister. I even have a hard time sometimes leading a community and saying, okay, everybody, this is what we're doing. So I kind of sneak my message in with like Earth Day, and we're going to have a vegan meal, on Earth Day, because we're honoring the earth.
Right.
So, rather than force everyone to do it every time. So anyway, I feel like we're going to come away better equipped to do that. And also really have deeper relationships and connections. And this is important in this day and age, is to find like-minded people. And, who can we collaborate with going forward, whether we're together geographically or not?
That's right, yeah. So Lisa, you have, through the Interfaith Vegan Coalition, you have created all these kits for other religions. So will those kits be available and discussed during the retreat?
Yeah, so actually the kits are available now. They are online, and you can find them at interfaithvegancoalition.org. When you go there, it'll mention the advocacy kits, and you can find them. We have several of them for different traditions and religions. And what we're going to do is to, of course, spread the word that they are there when we're at the retreat. But also we're going to have people who've written some of those kits and who have reviewed some of those kits to share these tools that they've been using in their communities, the ones that are working. And I think that's going to be one of the most helpful tools that Carol mentioned, is that people who attend, the retreat goers, will have an opportunity to hear from experts in the field what kind of programs they're creating. Like Jewish Veg, for example, has some just all-star programs that they've put together that can be modeled for other traditions. So you might learn from perhaps in the Jewish tradition and bring it back to your New Thought community. And so what we're hoping is that this will be like a meeting of the minds and also the hearts, where people have an opportunity to learn from each other. It's in that way, I echo what Carol was saying as well, that this is more of a collaboration, and there's more time for connection, and there's built-in time also for self-reflection in the retreat. So we hope that it will be like nourishing and providing all sorts of new tools for people. And the kits are there. They include stories, poems, event ideas, literature from the actual type of, depending on the type of tradition it is, it might be their book from their faith, and there are all kinds of links to books and articles and videos, and really it's just a plethora of items to help a person who may be an activist. Maybe you're the only vegan who's at your place of worship, and you can use one of these kits to go in and address some of these issues with your community, and maybe meeting with the leaders in that community. And so the idea is to provide you with some resources to do your activism within your community.
Yeah, will they be able to get, say, presentation materials for their faith?
Well, they are online, so that's where they can find them. For example, each kit is several pages long, and we found when we brought some of them to the Parliament of the World Religions a couple years ago, we decided it'd be a little easier just for people to have them accessible online. They can download them directly from there. So they are available. And so we encourage everyone to check them out and use them. But I think the value of the retreat is really finding out from other experts in the field of vegan advocacy, how are they actually doing this? What things are working? How to use the kits. And so that's really some of the benefit, and also the connections that you'll make, so that you can have continued conversations and share your ideas. Like, oh, I'd like to try this at my place of worship, and how did it go when you did? And what are some tips, some pros and cons, and really to be resources ongoing for one another, so that we can, as Tom Regan, the animal rights philosopher, said, it's time to wake the sleeping giant of religion. He said that, and that is such an inspiration. One of the true mentors, I guess we could say, for the Interfaith Vegan Coalition.
Right. I mean, it is the largest grassroots organization that's out there, right? Religion.
Yes. And people worldwide, for many people, that is their primary source in their life. I mean, traveling around the world, you might find that. I know when I went to Myanmar a few years ago, I was amazed at how devoted everyone was to their tradition, and that was, literally all of the funds that they made, they donate back into their places of faith. And so I think, in different parts of the world, religion plays even a bigger part of their lives. And so here in where we're located in the United States, it varies quite a bit, but many people, and especially people that we'd like to reach who may be outside of the animal rights community, people who are just love animals, but they have a very rich life in their spiritual community and religious places of worship. So here we're trying to really invite in more people to join this conversation. And that's part of it. If you're curious, people who are veg curious are welcome to attend. People who have been vegan for many years, people who are maybe not vegan, but they'd like to learn more about how to help animals in their communities through their ministries.
Right. It is the sleeping giant that has to be woken up to serve compassion for all things, right?
Compassion, mercy, love, all those things that we teach.
Right. All the
Yeah.
things we teach.
And one of the benefits of the kits themselves is they show how each religion or tradition that's featured, it shows how their highest ideals of compassion and love and all the ones that you just mentioned are all present in the scriptures of that tradition, but also it aligns with veganism. They all, at their hearts,
Right.
the religions and traditions align with the principles of veganism and the values that we have. So it's showing how they integrate and how it can help the places of worship to further their values and practice veganism.
Right. Will there be any the education around the overcoming addictions? I know that you have, IDA has a Carnivore Anonymous or something like that.
Yes, we have a Carnivores Anonymous. It's actually
Okay.
it's modeled after the Alcoholics Anonymous and all the other Anonymouses. And this one is really for people who are carnists, as you say, carnivores who would like to make the switch, but to do it in a way without any judgment, that if you fall off the wagon, so to speak, you can get back on and you'll have a community of people cheering you every step of the way. So that's the idea. We will be having, I believe, some of the workshops. One of them will be focused on actually food and veganism in that way too. So it can give people some ideas and help them if that's one of their stumbling blocks to access healthy food that's vegan and tasty. And so that's part of what people will experience as well.
I do want to say that there are so many workshop opportunities, and if it would be so great if we had like a week, we could just fit them all in, and we're not going to be able to do that. But what we will be able to do is provide, whatever is left off the table. We'll be able to provide people with resources. Maybe even in our welcome packet, there'll be resources, people to call, places to look into, and you want to learn about this, here's this person. You want to learn about that, here's that person. So the person who's a complete novice and doesn't even know where to start can at least go away with, oh, okay, I've got some tools here, some resources here. We're going to do our best to cover it all. But it would be, I know for me, I'm hoping to make this an annual event, at least at Unity Village. And there may be, other vegan retreats that are annually, but I have a personal interest in Unity Village because I really feel, like the spirits of Charles and Myrtle are asking me to bring this back to Unity. And also we're sitting in the Midwest, which energetically is such an interesting place to be doing this rather than the coasts or, the typical places you have gatherings like this. And so for me, it's about the energy, and it's about really planting the seeds of consciousness there for a purpose. So I'm hoping I can do this. Lisa, I may have collaborate with me on the side, but not necessarily part of her job because her job's changing. But so I guess what I'm saying is whatever there's overflow, we can do next year or the next year, and not feel like we have to do everything in one thing. But this is like almost like a gathering point, that we can come back and learn more and come back and share what worked for us last year, what didn't.
Right. Yeah, it's going to evolve, I'm sure, because just like, I attended Al Gore's climate reality training. That was the second one that he did back in 2006. And so he's continued that. Basically, the idea there was to train us all into becoming effective advocates for climate change, for solving climate change. I think what you're setting out to do is something very similar, because you're trying to set out to create effective advocates for the animals among all the religious and faith communities of the world. And so it's a training ground and networking opportunity for people to come together. And because we all, like all the people who got trained by Al Gore, we are all part of a group, and we talk to each other, we help each other out. In fact, one of them actually invited me to come and talk about my white paper, so the position paper that we wrote on animal agriculture.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. For me, I usually feel an inspiration or guidance, and I take the first step, not knowing where it's going to go,
right.
and those are the most fun adventures. It's like, what's going to happen next? And so that's why we don't have every I dotted and T crossed yet, because we're kind of getting to that point now where, okay, now we're finished, but we don't know where this is going to go, but I do know it's going to be beautiful and wonderful, and we hope everybody joins us.
Right.
Yeah. And one of the neat things for me is that we're going to practice some of this while we're there. So there are opportunities for people. You'll learn about labyrinth walking, but then you'll get to walk the labyrinth. We're going to have information about mindfulness, and then you get to practice mindfulness. And there will be opportunities to even have a Sunday worship service. And what does that look like if the whole service is focused on veganism and vegan values? And so we'll have that opportunity. And I know that Victoria Moran, who's one of our speakers, has recently started a new initiative called the Compassion Consortium, where they do a service once a month that is a vegan service. So we've got people there who are the leaders, movers and shakers in this, who are, really starting new initiatives, and we'll be all together having that opportunity to learn from one another and to practice together, and then to actually leave with this feeling of deep connection and belonging to a community of people who really want to see this change happen in the faith community, that veganism becomes part of the conversation, and that there's ways to do that. It's not an idea in the sky. It's right here. Here are the tools. Here's what we can do. And we can actually kind of celebrate this together. So it'll be lots of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it is something that should be part of the conversation. It should be the foundation of their service, right? So,
yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make any sense anymore. There is no reason not to do it.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. This is you didn't really ask this, but I also think it doesn't make any sense for the vegan movement not to be about love and mercy and compassion for all. So that's another. Maybe it's not a giant. I was going to say that's another sleeping giant. That the vegan movement, I would love to see embrace the spiritual ideals for all. Meaning there is some compassion and forgiveness for people. Who aren't where we are in consciousness. And I think one of the things that we're looking at for this event is a lot of animal lovers, animal advocates will go to animal advocacy conventions and not really feel like they're comfortable because of their spirituality, and that's not really being spoken. That voice isn't being heard there. And then you go to your religion or spiritual groups, and the vegan voice isn't being heard there. And we're going to be that sweet spot where both voices are not only heard, but that's what we're doing. We're going to be in that intersection point and be in conversation, collaboration, how to make that circle bigger.
Sounds wonderful. So I want to let you know that I'm going to be coming to the retreat. I spoke to my wife, and unfortunately she cannot come because Kimaya still has school on the 1st of October.
Oh.
And but maybe on Sunday she may come with Kimaya.
Oh, great!
So just one day.
Yeah.
Or Saturday or Sunday. So anyway, we'll figure out the details. But I would love to participate in this and get the Hindu voice heard too.
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. We will have the Hindu voice right there heard. We'd love to hear it for sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, that's exciting. Yeah. So that's the other really interesting thing about this retreat is a lot of the people who are coming are leaders in their own right. So we have so much to learn from one another, and that's the environment that we're creating, is that it's really, we're all peers kind of working together on this. And then if you're new to it, it's still a beautiful place to come and meet new people and learn. So you'll be in the perfect spot to actually learn and then practice and try new things.
Yeah, I do want to speak for a moment just about what Unity Village is like, because Lee's Summit, Missouri is not like where a vacation spot, like everyone's trying to get there, but Unity Village is it's a sacred space. The Unity organization is there, but there is something called Silent Unity there, where there has been prayer going on for over 125 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and because of that, there's just something very special about the space, about the grounds, and like for me, I don't know. I don't need as much sleep, for example. There's just something about the space. There's walking trails, there's rose gardens. It's some beautiful property. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that it's not just some place in the middle of Missouri, that there's a spiritual dimension to it that's I think is palpable.
I know that Thomas Wade Jackson's movie, A Prayer for Compassion, it began with unity and ended with unity. Right. So
it did, yeah. And we're going to be showing that. We're going to be showing that on Friday night. Yeah. So
we're going to be discussing it as well.
Yeah. Pardon me?
You'll be discussing that as well?
Yes. Like a panel like, we've had before. So, all those involved in the movie, all you guys should be on the panel. Yeah.
Look forward to that.
Yeah.
So beyond that, during the retreat, will there be, is Thomas going to be filming all this?
Oh, that's a good question.
Knowing him, he probably will, because actually Thomas, he filmed as part of the original movie. I know he's working on a second one. He filmed our very early meetings of our Interfaith Vegan Coalition, which was so exciting. And he kind of chronicled that within A Prayer for Compassion. And now he's working on a new film. Some people may not know that. It's Elixir. Oh, it's like drinking the elixir or something like that. It's
bringing the elixir home.
Yes, that's it. Thank you so much, Silage. And so he has offered to share some of his previously unreleased clips of his new film. So that's part of what the offering is. It is his film, and many of us have seen it. Some of us have not. However, he's going to be showing some new items to us, and so we're really excited to see some of that.
So he'll be participating there as well. He's coming, right?
I didn't know. Yeah. Is he coming?
Yes, he's planning to share. He's showing the film.
Okay. I don't see him on the list, so that's great. Yeah. Okay. All right. We have these lists that we're trying to kind of wrangle. I haven't seen his name on the list, so good to know that. Yeah. And I think a lot of people also intend to come, but they haven't necessarily signed up, so it's hard to know. But that would be wonderful. Yeah, and that'd be wonderful. He could film. Yeah, that's very exciting. One other thing I'm going to say, Silas, is this may not mean anything to anybody, but it means something to me. The new CEO of Unity Worldwide Ministries is vegan.
Oh, wow.
And his wife is vegan, and they are both attending. And
oh, wow.
I know. So this is really big. And I know he was a part of me. I did a seminar at a Unity convention in 2018 on veganism and the Charles Fillmore and Myrtle Fillmore teachings. And I know he was on the Unity Worldwide Ministries board at the time. And I know he had a part in saying, we're going to do this one. Because there's so many people in the Unity movement, just like other religions, that, you go to the convention and you walk through the breakfast room and they're all sitting there with all this bacon and eggs and ham. And you're like, it's just something, like you said, the addiction. They don't want to give it up.
Right.
But the very fact that this person who's now the CEO, I know his demeanor. He's not one that's going to push. No one in Unity pushes anybody to do anything. But I do know where his heart is, and he's going to be there with us. And I'm very excited about that.
Wow.
Well, I've heard that term, we don't want to push anybody, but at the same time, I see the fires up and down the West Coast. I see the flooding in Western Europe. I see the flooding in the East Coast. And I see all these people suffering, people dying, animals dying, and if we don't say it, if we don't push it, will the message get through? I mean,
Yeah,
are we
right.
doing our duty, right? So that's my question. Are we doing our duty?
Yeah, and I think our voice may inspire people, who don't know how to do that. And especially if you're managing a large organization, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the minister Facebook page, and every once in a while, well, I shouldn't say every once. I'll say what I need to say, but sometimes somebody's really nasty back at me,
Mhm.
and it's just because they're in that defensive mode. Like food is that really weird thing that it has something primal. It has a connection to your childhood, or you're being so I think people act out in a very childish way sometimes when you threaten what looks like food. And none of this is about food. And I think when we say, and I hear this in Unity all the time, we don't want to tell people what to eat. Well, it's not, it's not about food. It's about compassion.
Right.
I'm not saying don't eat broccoli or whatever. I'm just saying, let's think about what would a loving, compassionate, merciful person do in this situation? And who do we want to say we are? And, I come from I guess Unity kind of has Christian roots. So, what Jesus said, love one another. That means one another. That doesn't mean some of us and not others. It's all about love. But people just they just get so strange about it. And I think if we just open people's hearts a little bit, and maybe if they see, there's so many things that I didn't see before, but once I saw, I could change my mind. And I just think a lot of people just haven't had the chance, or haven't made the choice to see.
Yeah, it's just the framing of it as, we don't want to tell people what to do. You always tell people what to do. You're always
Well, I
doing
know. I know. And they'll tell people what to do in other ways,
Right.
and they'll make other statements. They'll make statements about, race or sex or whatever but not about animals. It's
Right.
like, yeah, like here's our pronouncement on this issue. It's like,
Right.
okay, what about this? In fact, the very first time I tried to write something for Unity, I was really inspired by, oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called now, but they were Christians that were starting this, it was but it had to write their name on it. I can't remember what's that called, but it was like a petition, or not a petition, but making a statement about kindness to animals. And this is what this particular church was doing, and passing it around to the different churches and different pastors, and were signing it. So I remember I wrote an article for not for Unity Magazine, but Unity Leaders Journal. And I was so excited about this. Look, we can do this too. And I wrote our own little thing, and we could do this. And it was like, I got rejected right away, because in Unity, we don't tell people what to do. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I did rewrite that article. It took me 18 months. I rewrote it until it was acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if you say, well, we have to welcome, supremacists, white supremacists, because we don't tell people what to do. So, I mean, they are oppressing, colored people. That's okay? No, that's not okay.
Right.
We say that's not okay, right? So we do take a stand there.
We take a stand in all sorts of places.
Right.
All sorts of places. Yeah. And go ahead, Lisa.
I was just going to say, I think it's also just a change in consciousness as well for the vegan, vegetarian community in the world, really, because there was a time, I think, in the 70s where it was like, live and let live, and it was more of, well, this is my choice. I've chosen to be vegan or vegetarian. But now, since the West Coast is burning and we have all of these things changing, people I know activism is on the rise. People are trying to impress upon everyone that this is for all of our safety and well-being. And so I think this message now, there's a parallel between what's happened in the world at large, where people are making statements, even young people are making statements to leaders about the condition of the world. And now that will kind of filter into the religious and spiritual communities as well, where it is okay to like say this is important for our well-being, and to share how it really reflects the morals and values of the tradition itself. So that idea of not speaking your truth, or of only being this isolated vegan or vegetarian, I think that's a thing of the past, and that's
Right.
part of what we're celebrating in this retreat, is to give people some of the verbal tools to address that within their communities. Because they say, how do I say this? And people can have those conversations together. Here's some things that I've said. This is what
Right.
helped me. I actually went up to the rabbi after, one of the break the fasts, and I said, oh, let's have a meeting. I'd like to talk to you about the food that we serve there, and that I
Right.
didn't feel included. So what can we do?
Mhm.
And changes can actually be made on that level.
Right. So it's about giving people those tools so that they can go and be more effective advocates.
Yeah, tools and connections, so they also know who to call or who to be in conversation with,
Right.
and what has worked. I remember when I did the Earth Day service, the last time I did Earth Day service, and I announced to my community that we're just going to have plant-based food. There was some pushback, but
Right.
I was the minister, so they couldn't push back that far. But people loved it. It was the most beautiful, colorful potluck we'd ever had, and people kind of got into looking for recipes and figuring out what this would be like, and I'm going to try this. And it was probably the most beautiful, amazing, successful, church potluck that we've ever had. And just the little grumblings had to kind of go away, because it's when you say something like, we're going to do this and not that, the first people respond, you're telling me what to do.
Right.
It goes back to first grade or kindergarten, when somebody, hurt your feelings, or your teacher was mean to you or whatever.
Right.
And so they have that kind of reaction. But then once they soften up, those vegan potlucks are just amazing. So that's an example of something that works. And we'll have lots of those.
Yes, and one other thing we're going to have at the retreat is vegan food, delicious, yummy vegan food. So it's also a neat educational opportunity, because I believe, and Carol can share more about this, that the Unity staff is going to be preparing it for us. Which
wow.
Yeah, it's so interesting, because Unity used to only have vegetarian food. And then they kind of went off on that, just when the Fillmores died, and, they went off on that. And I remember I would go back to Unity Village, and they might have different contract kitchen people. And 1 year it might be great for vegans or vegetarians, another it might not be. So it had been not so great. And so we had planned to hire a chef to curate the meals and all that. But they recently hired last year a new company, and Judy, Carmen, and I met with the chef last October, and they're very excited. And he has created a beautiful menu, and it's going to be really good and tasty and beautiful. And we will also have food for all of the raw food people as well, so that will be accommodated. Vegan and not all raw, but anybody who is raw will be fed well.
Wonderful. Sounds exciting.
Yeah. Very exciting. I can't wait for that part too, because I would also like to see Unity, see what that looks like, Like, I don't think they probably, maybe they have, but maybe I don't think they know they haven't had a vegan retreat there. So this will be the first time that Unity staff will see, wow, look at the food.
Right. The completely vegan retreat.
Yes.
So it's a really incredible opportunity in so many ways, because it's actually, we're practicing literally what we're preaching by doing the retreat there, because now they have a model of, here's what we could do as a vegan retreat, and seeing how easy it is, and also preparing all the recipes, and they'll have them for future retreats. And so I think it's definitely a win-win.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Unity will go vegan because of you.
Maybe Charles and Myrtle are smiling somewhere. I know that.
Right.
Yes. You're currently the hands and feet of Charles and Myrtle right now.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. So.
Yes, and the important piece of making it happen is having everyone join us, having people who are listening right now, and please join us. We would love to have you. That's the purpose of the retreat as well. We've got lots of other, I guess, fringe benefits, like having this at Unity Village and cooperating, collaborating with the staff there. But also, it's really all the people who join us. We bring together the leaders in the field and people who are trying new things, innovators, but it's all of you, everyone who joins, everybody who comes and participates and shares what you are doing as well. That's the fun of it. So we're hoping that if you have that little idea that you'd like to join us, please sign up. It's helpful for us to know now, actually, like sometime in the next
to know now. Yeah.
We really would love to have people register. So if you're the kind of person, like I have to admit I often am, where I'm registering at the last minute, try to register a little earlier this time, because it will also help us quite a bit to know who's coming and to plan the workshops, a number of workshops.
Yes.
And so yeah, go ahead and check it out and register. We would love to know you're there. We'll be communicating with you via email and giving you little bits of information along the way.
Yeah, we really need everybody's ideas. And I think that's what I really want people to know. We need everybody's voice, everybody's heart, everybody's mind, and their ideas. So, if you don't think you have anything, just come and receive. If you've got a lot to share, there'll be opportunity for you to. And the other thing I'm going to say is, if it looks like, wow, I want to go on a retreat, but that's just too much for me, you're completely free to meditate, to walk the grounds, to do whatever you want there. You don't have to participate in everything. I think most people will want to, but it's also an opportunity for you to have downtime if that's what you need. It's a great place to kind of just relax and reflect and, even journal or whatever it is for you in your life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to put the link again on the chat for everyone. So please join us at thespiritualforum.org/vegan-retreat and register. So when is there a deadline for registration, or is there I call it
we do have to get a hefty deposit in based on the count on August 1st. Our final count is due September 17th, but so I guess the deadline would be September 17th. But we, like Lisa said, if we know the numbers sooner, how many people are coming, we'll be able to figure out whether or not, okay, well, with that many people, we can have another workshop track or, offer something else. Right. And so it really does help us to know. So it'd be great if people could register, like Lisa said, in the next couple of weeks.
August 1st will be you have to give
half of our down payment.
Have your down payment then.
Yeah.
So August 1st is like nice to have everyone register by then.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice. Not essential, but nice.
Not essential, but nice. Yeah.
Yes.
So actually, August 1st is the second day of our Vegan World 2026 Convergence.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so we can cheer people on there at the Convergence. Yes.
Yeah, it's my 40th.
Speak about this during the Convergence and let people know more about it.
That's great.
Actually, the Convergence is another fantastic resource for people who come to the retreat. Maybe they get inspired and wonder, how are we going to continue this? There's the Convergences that happen online, and then there'll be annual events, the retreats that Carol will be hosting. So this will continue. It's the beginning of something really beautiful.
Right. It's the beginning of a vegan world by 2026.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I have to tell you, that's the only thing I focus on. Okay, so that's if it advances the cause of a vegan world by 2026, I'm there.
You're in.
Yeah, I'm in. If it does not, I'm not in. So.
Well, that's what we're all about as well, and we love that you put a date on it, so it gives us a deadline, which is always helpful.
It's actually a lifeline, I call it, rather than a deadline.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Much more uplifting.
Yes, it's a lifeline for humanity, for all animals, for all of us, and it's not mine. It's something that Kimaya insisted, so my granddaughter did it. So I owe it to her. to make that happen.
We have so many gifts from the youth and children of today. They're just the spark of veganism. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They are here to wake us up.
Yes.
And so actually the way she put it was, do your job.
Do your job, Grandpa.
Do your job, yeah.
Yeah. And that's interesting. I was just going to say that's interesting because that word woke, I think I've heard in the spiritual community as well, being awakened. And so it's something familiar to them, to the community, and to really add veganism into it. I think that's part of the woke, part of being awakened. So.
Right. Yeah. It's the essential part of being awakened, I think, because to me, it's the foundation of a system of justice. Because currently we have a system of injustice. It's normalized violence is what we have. And we are just kind of going along with it, and it begins with injustice towards animals.
Yes, exactly. And one of the retreat organizers, Judy Carmen, who's not here, she wrote the book Peace to All Beings, and also another new book called Homo Ahimsa. And both of those books address veganism as a path to world peace. And also one of our speakers, Dr. Will Tuttle, wrote the book The World Peace Diet. So peace is going to be part of what we discuss and ways to get there. And so we love what you're saying, Silas, and are so excited to hear more about that at the retreat. It'll be great.
Yeah. So maybe, if Kimaya comes on Sunday, I'll have her come and tell us to do your job.
Do your job.
Yeah, well, she'll enjoy that because Sunday we're going to do the practice. We'll have that lovely service that we'll do in the morning, and then there's just a lot of fun things to do as well. Yay!
So I really look forward to it. So thank you all for being here. Thank you both for being here. So I'm going to encourage people to sign up and register and join us, and let's figure out how to get the sleeping giant awakened.
Wonderful. Sounds like a plan, Silas. We love that. Thank you so much. It's such a treat to be here with both of you and also with everyone who's watching. It's really a pleasure.
Yeah, this is a labor of love. This whole retreat is a labor of love. So be a little love fest.
Yeah, it's a gift. It's a gift.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Silas.